Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's confirm we are all on the same page. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, kindly type in hi in the comment section so we can get this started. Right. So let's see what's going on the chat. Oh, okay. Innocent babe, good morning to you. I'm fine, thank you. And trust you're doing well as well. Dina, okay, whole carry, good morning. Thank you for that confirmation. All right, Matelito, okay, says it's hot. All right, okay. So thank you for that confirmation, Carrie, and good morning to everyone in the house. And trust you had a wonderful night rest. That being said, I welcome you to yet another promising session on Extra and Speed Live, hosted by my humble self, Sharif Daramola. And as usual, in the next 1 hour, I will be taking you on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating the financial markets using technical parameters to identify trading opportunities lining up for us during the New York session today. And as usual, we're going to be going through the pairs we've been monitoring since Monday. We want to see how well these pairs are doing before we start making a decision on how we intend to make a plan against the New York session today. So I'd advise that you stay tuned in through to the end of the session so that you don't miss out on any of the advices I will be sharing during the course of the session. And if you have any pair you want us to look at, feel free to drop it in the comment section and I will try as much as possible to inculcate it into my plans for today. So without further ado, let's dive into the chart and let's see what is happening here. So the first pair we are going to be looking at is the US oil as usual. So we are going to be, hold on a second, I'm trying to, okay. So we are going to be looking at the US oil and what do we have on the chart right now, and we are going to be looking at what our expectation were as at yesterday and what we are going to be looking forward to. So, well, where were we on the US oil during the live session yesterday? So we were around here as we continue to see price consolidate around the $85 level. Remember, we were able to identify that structure that is a consolidation phase right within the $86 level. Remember how important we emphasize the $86 level. I will be showing that in a moment, but we can see how price has been consolidating right within the $86 level and the $85 area since the beginning of the week. And what I said yesterday was that we should be patient enough to wait for price action to give us the signal of where price might be heading during the New York session yesterday. Lo and behold, we had a situation where price broke down the structure at the $85 level, lining up with a bearish rectangular pattern, which is more or less a trend continuation pattern. And I said that if we have a breakdown of that structure, we'll wait for a retest of structure to give us that confirmation of a bearish move. So during the New York session yesterday, we had this breakdown retest, though this is more or less like a signal. We saw that bearish impulsive move to the downside, and that is more or less a signal we've been waiting for. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we sight a breakdown or breakout of structure like this, we expect that price is likely going to come back and do a retest of that structure, after which we want to be looking out for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline to the downside. So we already have a bearish signal here, and let's see how this is going to be trading during the New York session. But before I go into the details of how we intend to plan this, let's scale up to the daily time frame so that we can see what is really going on in this market. And for those who are not part of the session yesterday and on Monday, we will be able to have a better perspective into how we got into making whatever decision we are going to be making here. So let's scale up to the daily time frame. Let's see what is going on here. So on the daily time frame, well, the first thing we observed on the daily time frame was that price action has been on a very strong bullish momentum since the beginning of the year. And as a result of this, we had this bullish trend line identified after connecting the series of higher lows, as we can see here. Hold on a second. Okay, so I was able to connect the series of higher lows here to give us that resultant bullish trend line, and this trend line has been guiding bullish momentum in the last 2 years. However, if we zoom into what has been happening since the month of June, we can see that price collapsed right back into that bullish trend line after finding a uniform lower lows and lower highs. So you can see, so we saw our price collapse right back into that bullish trend line, though we had the breakdown of the bullish trend line in the later part of the month of September. But it appears that this bearish momentum was unable to hold ground, as we finally saw price come back right above that bullish trend line one more time to give us a bullish signal. Then, in addition to the structure we identified here, we also have a key level at the $86 area, which has been a very significant level in the last couple of months now. We can see how this level has been a major buying niche at one point in time, and as well, it has been a seller niche at another point in time. A couple of weeks ago, we saw the breakout of that key level to emphasize the strength of the buyers at this point in the market. And one thing you also notice about the breakout of this key level during the 2 weeks ago was that it also lines up with the key level, also lines up with the bearish trend line also. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we cite a breakout of a structure like this, what do we expect? We expect the price is likely going to come back, do a retest of structure, after which we want to be looking out for patterns on lower time frame that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. And what happened during the course of last week was that as soon as we saw this rejection of the $93 level, we remember we took advantage of this bearish move. And one thing we said last week was that we want to see how far this bearish move is going to go. So we don't know if it's going to respect the $86 level one more time to push price to the upside, or it's going to go as far as retesting the structure that was broken 2 weeks ago. See, price coming back to retest the structure. And in the last 24 hours now, we can see that we have a situation where price appear to have retested that structure. So now, with this information we have here, what we are going to be doing during the live session today is to see what is really happening around this area, after which we want to see if price is likely going to be climbing right back to the upside in such a way that we have the incitation of the second wave of that bullish momentum that started a couple of weeks ago. So we had this bullish momentum and we are waiting for the second wave to happen. So we don't know how soon that second wave is going to happen. So what I'll be doing right now is to scale down to the 1 hour time frame. We want to see what is really happening here. Are we going to be having a structure that will be supporting the bullish momentum in the nearest future? This is what we want to be looking at. So in that regard, we'll scale down to the 1 hour time frame. And on the 1 hour time frame, what did we see here on the 1 hour time frame? Now, looking at the structure we have here, remember this is the key level. So let me make this more clearer. So we have the key level here. Okay. So we have the key level here. And since the beginning of the week, what we noticed was that price action was caught within a channel right within the $86 key level area and the $85 area. So we saw this move. And since the beginning of the week, we remain patient. We are not getting too excited. We're remaining patient to see how participants in this market is going to relate to that structure. And during the course of yesterday's trading session, we saw this move to the downside. Well, some people will have actually taken advantage of this move. Well, I didn't take it. I waited for this move to end, and then I want to see price do a retracement back into somewhere within our golden zone area, which is right within the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg, after which we want to be looking at for patterns on lower time frame to join the trend continuation to the downside. But there is a caveat to this. First of all, let me show you how I got that sell window. So what I did here was to bring out my Fibonacci retracement tool and then run the previous impulse leg. This is the highest point price was at this week at the $87 mark. Price came to dropped to the $82 level. That's like $5 difference. Then we want to be identifying the sell window to be right around the 50 and the 78.6% of that impulse leg. So we have something like this. So we have somewhere right within the $84.50 area and the $86 area as our as an area we want to be looking for selling opportunity on the USOil. So this is the scenario we are looking forward to right now. We have this impulsive move, so we are waiting for price to come within the sell window around here to look out for patterns to join the decline. So that is what we are going to be looking at from a technical standpoint. However, let me delete this. Okay, so this is what we want to be looking at from a technical standpoint. Then remember what I showed you on the daily time frame, where I said that we want to see how price action is going to retest the structure. Let's go back to the daily time frame. Let's see what I'm talking about here clearly. So look at what's happening here on the daily time frame. Let me zoom in so that we can see. So we had this impulsive move that started a couple of weeks ago, which led to the breakout of the structure. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we cite a breakout of structure, we expect that price will come back, do a retest of that trend line before we start seeing, looking out for patterns that will be supporting the trend continuation to the upside. So that is exactly what has happened right now. So we saw price come back to do the retest of that bearish trend line. So here right now, we want to see if we are going to be having a reversal pattern on lower time frame. It could be a double bottom structure or an inverse end and shoulder pattern that will be sending price to the upside. So now let's go back to our 1 hour time frame. And on the 1 hour time frame here, this is the structure that was tested that I showed you on the daily time frame. So we have the structure tested here. This is the bearish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. And what did we notice here? We saw that this bearish impulsive move to the downside tested the trend line, came back into the $84 level, and then we saw a situation where we had a rejection of that $84 level by the sellers. Price came to the $82.50 level, which appears to be a new higher low. This is the previous low here, and we saw sharp rejection of the $82 area. That is a higher low. This is looking like this might likely turn out to be a double bottom structure, and this double bottom structure cannot be confirmed unless we see a breakout of the $84 area, after which a retest to structure will be informing us that price might likely be going to the upside around this area. So now this is the catch here. If this turns out to be a double bottom structure, then definitely we want to hold on a second. Let me quickly okay, so if this turns out to be a double bottom structure, so we have a neckline here at the $84 mark. So one thing I want to be looking out for right now is that if price breaks out the $84 area and then we see a retest of structure with buying pressure right around the $84 level, which also, mind you, which also lines up with the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. So this is the green bullish trend line here on the daily time frame. So if we have a retest of that $84 level with buying pressure lining up right above the $84 area, which also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line we have on the daily time frame, then I want to be seeing this as a signal to join the potential rally to the upside. So this is the catch here where I'm talking about. So we had this bearish move, we had this bearish signal here, the breakdown of this channel that started this week. We have the breakdown of this channel, remember, and whenever we have a breakdown of a structure, we expect that price is likely going to come back into the structure to retest it to send price to the downside. So what I'm saying here is that if at any point in time price breaks out into this area and we start seeing reversal patterns around this area, we want to join the sell momentum with a take profit target somewhere around here. But the catch, what we do here is as soon as price gets into the $84 level here, we move our stop loss to break even or lock some profit here. So now the reason why we are locking our profit after price tests the $84 area is that we are taking into consideration this reversal pattern that we have identified here. That is, if a breakout of that structure happens, then what we're going to be looking forward to is if we start seeing multiple rejection of the $84 area here, then we want to take advantage of a bullish move at a breakout retest of structure on lower time frame, which will take us out of our sell position here. So you can see how we want to use a stone to kill two birds. That's what this. That's what an adage says in my local dialect. So we want to get ourselves prepared for the two scenarios that is likely going to happen here. So if price breaks above, we want to join the decline when we sight reversal patterns here. But as soon as price, with the take profit target right below, maybe around the, let me see, around the bearish trend line here, and then as soon as price tests, comes into the $84 level, we want to move our stop loss to break even. That is the stop loss of the sell position to break even or lock in some profit, after which we want to be patient enough to see how price is going to relate to this level. So if we start seeing buying pressure here, so that means that the reversal pattern here becomes, hold on a second. So that means the reversal pattern here becomes valid. So a breakout retest of that structure on lower time frame will confirm a trend continuation to the upside. However, if price breaks down the $84 level and then a retest of structure happens, then we want to join the decline to the downside, add more position to the decline to the downside. So this is how we want to trade the US oil going into the New York session today. So let's get ourselves prepared for either of the scenarios that is likely going to be happening here. So if you have any question regarding the US oil, feel free to drop in your inquiries in the comment section while I move on to the next pair for today. So the next pair that we are going to be looking at for today is the, let me see, the US tech. So as usual, we are going to be taking on the US tech, and let's see what is really happening here. So remember on the US tech, as at yesterday, we took our profit at the $11,300 area. We took advantage of this move at the beginning of the week here. We took our profit around this area, and during the live session yesterday, where are we during the live session yesterday? I think we were around this point. Yes, we were around the $11,300 area here. And what we said as at the live session yesterday was that we identified two structures, that is the $11,200 area. We can see how this level has been a determinant for selling nation in the past. Price broke out of that structure here. We saw a retest of the structure, and one thing I said yesterday was that if price breaks down the structure, we want to look forward to price coming back into either this bullish trend line here, or probably come to as far as this area anywhere here. Look out for reversal pattern to join the rally to the upside. What exactly happened yesterday was quite interesting, as we saw price broke down the 11,200 but quickly came back into the 11,300 area. Then we see a situation where price comes back into the 11,200 area one more time, and this is more or less like an indecision going on in this market right now. So we have seen a situation where price has been caught within the $11,300 level and the 11,200 area since price tested the 11,300 on Tuesday. So now that we have the scenario, what the most important thing I have noticed here is that we have something that looks like a reversal pattern. As we can see, we have a higher low. The previous high was here, and then the second high was around the 11,300 area, which is a higher low, and this is likely going to be evolving into a reversal pattern, after which a breakdown retest of structure might be sending price crashing to the downside. So we want to get ourselves prepared to take advantage of that move if it happens. And so let's see what is really happening on the daily time frame. So let's go to the daily time frame. Let's look at the structure, and then let's see if a reversal pattern is looking more more possible on the 1 hour time frame. So jumping back into the daily time frame, what do we see here on the daily time frame? Well, the structure we have on the daily time frame is more or less bearish, but the demand zone identified at around the $11,000 level appears to have changed our perspective. As we can see, every attempt by the sellers to push price below the $11,000 level has been met with stiff resistance from the buyers, and we can see the second attempt from the sellers here in the month of September to push price to the downside was met with very strong resistance from the buyers. However, during the course of last week trading session, we saw a little breakdown of that demand zone here, but this breakdown wasn't that strong. As we can see, we have this hammer candle here giving us a clue that there are still traces of buyers in this market. And what happened afterward was very convincing, as we saw a bullish engulfing candle in the last couple of days now. So we saw this first candle, second candle, which is more or less a bullish signal. Now that we have a bullish signal around this area, remember we took advantage of this at the beginning of the week, and now what are we going to be looking forward to, as price appears to be right above the demand zone that we have identified here. So we can see price is still right above the demand zone, which is a good signal for buyers in the market right now. So how do we intend to trade or join this potential rally to the upside? Are we going to be having a situation where price is likely going to come back and do a retest to structure, after which we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside? Well, in order to have a better perspective into what is really happening around here, considering this impulsive move to the upside, let's scale down to the 4 hours time frame and let's see if we are going to be having a retracement into our golden zone area, after which we want to be looking out for patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside. So look at what happened here since the beginning of the week. Price started the week at around the $10,600 level, and we have this impulsive move that ended at around the 11,300, 11,400 area. So if we take this impulsive move into consideration, then we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool, run it through this impulsive move, and then we should be aiming at somewhere right around the 50 and the 78.6% retracement of that impulse leg to look out for buying opportunities. So when we do that, what do we have here? So we have between the 10,850 and the $11,000 area as an area to look out for buying pressure. So, and one interesting thing about this is that as soon as we took our profit here at around the 11,300, what did we see? We started seeing selling pressure, and in the last 24 hours, every attempt by the buyers to push price right above that 11,300 level has been met with very strong resistance from the sellers. So what this simply means is that this is likely going to turn out to a reversal pattern, which might evolve into a retracement move back into somewhere within our golden zone area here, where we want to be looking out for patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside. So this is the first scenario I want to be looking forward to on the US tech. Now the second scenario is if price does not come back into the buy zone here and price continue to rally to the upside and a breakout of the $11,300 level happens, that is, price takes out all the sell position around this area, then remember, we are not getting too excited. We want to wait for price to come back and do a retest of the structure, after which we look out for patterns on lower time frame that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. So this is how we intend to trade the US tech going into the New York session today. One thing I'll do here is to extend this bullish trend line. So we have a couple of parameters that will be guiding our action going forward. So we have this temporary bullish trend line that has been respected since the beginning of the week. So let's see how price is going to respect this level. Is price going to respect this bullish trend line in such a way that we have a breakout of the $11,300 level? And if that happens, we want to be patient enough to wait for further confirmations to happen, which is likely going to come in the form of a retest of the 11,300, or it could come and do a retest of that bullish trend line before we see a trend continuation to the upside. So that is one scenario. Then the other scenario is that if price breaks down the $11,200 mark, which also lines up with the bullish trend line. So that is a breakdown of the bullish trend line happens, retest to structure, we wait for price to come within the buy zone here, then we look out for patterns on lower time frame that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. So on the US tech, we are still looking forward to bullish trend continuation patterns here. So let's see how price action is going to play out in the next 24 hours. What I'll be advising here is that we remain patient and wait for that signal and confirmation before we want to be joining the rally here. On the US tech, we are profitable already, so we don't want to lose what we've already made here. So let's be very, very patient. Let's wait for that signal, and the signal is likely going to come in the form of a breakout of the $11,300 level to the upside, or a breakdown of the $11,200 mark, retest of structure, price comes within our buy zone, then we look out for patterns on lower time frame that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. So this is how we want to trade the US tech. So let's get ourselves prepared for any of these options that might be coming up during the New York session today. If you have any question regarding what I've just explained, feel free to drop in your inquiries in the comment section. Well, I have a question here that says that what if price breaks the $11,200 to the downside? Can we take advantage of that bearish move? Well, if you are a counter trend trader and you love taking counter trend positions, or probably you are a scalper, well, if a breakdown of that $11,200 mark happens, let's scale down to the 1 hour time frame. So if a breakdown retest of that $11,200 level happens, that is, we have something like this: breakdown, retest to structure with multiple rejection from this area, that is selling pressure from that area. Well, you might want to join the decline there with a take profit target sitting right within the buy zone here, which will be dovetailing to at least between 200 to 300 pips for you to catch here. But if you are not comfortable taking counter trend positions, well, I'll be advising you to be patient, to wait for price to come within the buy zone to take advantage of that move to the upside, or we wait for breakout of the 11,300, after which a retest of structure will be confirming the trend continuation to the upside. So that is that on the US tech. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section of this video. So that is that on the US tech. So let's move on to the next pair right now. So okay, Black Donnie, good morning to you. Hello bit of one. What is this about? Well, on a daily basis on the Xtrend Speed Live app, we gather here on a daily basis to analyze the financial markets using technical parameters to determine trading opportunities lining up for us during the New York session on a daily basis. So that's what we simply do here. And if you have any pair or commodity you want us to look at, you can as well drop it in the comment section, and I will try as much as possible to incorporate it into our plans for today. So what we simply do here is come here, analyze the financial market, get ourselves prepared for the New York session after simulating all possible scenarios that might be coming up during the New York session. So that's what we simply do here, and you are welcome and good to have you around, and I hope you stay tuned in so that you can be part of the session. So that is that on the US tech. So the next pair we are going to be looking at is the gold. So what do we have? What is happening on the gold? Let's see what's happening on the gold. Now on the gold, we have a scenario here. Let's see what's happening. So what we said here on the gold was that we are looking for a buying opportunity. As at yesterday, as at the beginning of the week, we were expecting that price is going to continue to the upside, and we actually took advantage of this move at the beginning of the week, after which we were stopped out with some profit, I think around 500 pips thereabout, when price came back into our entry zone, and the appearance of multiple rejection of this level gave us a clue that we might be having a bullish potential. So, and as a result of that, we triggered a buy position here, but unfortunately we were taken out of our position yesterday as as the trade went into a loss. So at the beginning of the week, remember I told you that for me to sell the XAUUSD, I want to see price break down the $1,645 level, which actually happened during the early hours of today. So we saw price take us out of our existing buy position with a breakdown of the $1,645 level. And I told you that when price breaks down the $1,645 level, I want to be getting prepared to sell the XAUUSD at any sight of a rejection by the sellers of the $1,645 level. And what happened here was quite interesting. In the last 3-4 hours, we saw price come back to do a rejection of this level a couple of times, giving me emphasizing the strength of the sellers at this point. So what it did was to enter this trade right below the $1,645 level, and since then price has been trading below that level. If you are taking advantage of that move right there, kudos to you for being on standby to take advantage of the breakdown retest of the structure. And if you had done that right now, you will be in about how many pips in profit right now? Wow, over 1,000 pips in profit at this point in the market. So if you are taking advantage of them, congratulations to you. Well, for those who didn't take advantage of that move, let's see if the market is going to give us a second chance to join this potential decline in price action. So the first thing we're going to be doing right now is to scale up to the higher time frame. Let's see what is really going on from an holistic perspective, after which we are going to be coming back to the 1 hour time frame to make a decision in that regard. So scaling up to the daily time frame, what was the first thing we observed at the beginning of the week? Well, we have been monitoring this pair in the last couple of weeks now, and one thing we observed on the daily time frame was that price action has been on a very strong bearish momentum since the beginning of the year, and as a result of this, we were able to connect the series of lower highs here to give us that resultant bearish trend line, as you can see on your screen. However, something very interesting on this structure happened a couple of weeks ago. I think 3 weeks ago thereabout. We had multiple rejection of that bearish trend line one more time to give us a signal that the sellers are really very strong in this market. So we were able to join that decline from that area. Remember, we took advantage of that move right from that level. And another thing that was also guiding our action on the XAUUSD is this very significant key level at the $1,680 level here. So we can see how this level also has been a major determinant of price action in the past. Look at what happened here in the month of July. We saw how buyers gathered here to push price to the upside. We saw another attempt here sometime in the later part of the month of August. But during the early days of the month of September, we saw a breakdown retest of the $1,680 level, and throughout the month of September, price has been trading right below the 1,680 area. However, during the first week of the month of October, we saw the significant breakout of that structure to push price right back into the bearish trend line, and price respected that bearish trend line one more time, sending price crashing to the downside. So this is the first thing we observed on the daily time frame. And one thing we said here was that considering the impulsive move here during the later part of the month of September that took price right into this trend line, we want to see if this is going to be a retracement phase of that impulse leg that might be sending price to the upside, or this is going to turn out to be a trend continuation, which is going to line up with the trend continuation that started this year. So that is what we were looking forward to, and we identified an area here as our golden zone area, where we said if we start seeing reversal patterns within this area, we want to be joining the bullish momentum to the upside. We took advantage of one situation here on Monday, though we were in a little bit profits. price moved about over 1,000 pips in our favor to the upside, though price came back and then took us out of our second position in a loss as at yesterday. So this is a very significant juncture in this market where we want to see how price is going to be relating to this area to make a decision in that regard. So in order to get a better perspective into what is really happening around here, we scale down to the 1 hour time frame, after which we identified what has really been happening around here and how participants in this market have been relating to that area since the beginning of the week. And what we observed here was quite interesting. Well, the first thing we observed at the beginning of the week was this demand zone. As we can see, price has been respecting that area. Every attempt by the sellers to push price to the downside has been met with strong resistance from the sellers. So this is the position we took on Monday. We took this to the upside. We moved our stop loss right below the $1,660 level. Then price came back to take us out of our position, and then we took the second position here yesterday, but we were stopped out around this area. So because of this, I'll be deleting this one so that we now focus on what we are going to be looking forward to for today. So as at the early hours of today, we saw the breakdown of the $1,645 level. Remember, the $1,645 level was the key level I identified at the beginning of the week, and I said this level is going to be our yardstick. And I told you something. I said if price continue to reject this level to the upside, I want to buy. And I told you that I'm not going to be selling the XAUUSD unless I see sellers take out all the buy position here. That is, remember, we have the demand zone here, so I want to see price take out all the buy position there to give me a signal, and that's exactly what happened. We had an engulfing candle that broke down the $1,645 level to give us that signal, and then a retest of structure gave us a confirmation to join the decline. So if you are taking advantage, kudos to you. So let's see if the market is going to give us a second chance. For those who missed out on this opportunity, so let's see how we want to take advantage of this. Well, for those who are already in this trade, one thing I'll be advising you to do right now is to move your stop loss to lock in some profits, or probably move your stop loss to break even at this point in time, so that we don't want to get caught up in any sudden pullback. We don't want to lose out on whatever profit we already have taken right now. So after moving your stop loss to break even, the next thing we want to be doing here is to see if the market is going to give us a second chance. So what I'll be doing right now is to identify a structure right below the demand zone here. So we have this demand zone here. So I want to be looking out for a structure here. And if we look into what happened during the midweek of last week, we saw our buyers gathered around the $1,640 level to push price to the upside here. So we saw the first attempt by the buyers to push price to the upside from that area. And during the early hours today, you can see we had sharp rejection by the buyers. We can see attempts by the buyers to push price to the upside also came in around this area. So we can see how this level here has at one point in time had buying pressure. So in that regard, what we want to be doing right now is to identify a structure around that area. So what I'll be doing here is to had one more structure here. So we shall be labeling this area the $1,640 level, and let's see if the market is going to give us a second chance to add more position. And if you are not in this trade, probably join this decline. So let's label this area, and let's label it the $1,640 level. So what we want to be doing right now is that we wait for price to come back, probably do multiple rejection of this level, start seeing selling pressure around this area. Then we want to add one more position to our existing trade as a breakdown retest of that structure on our lower time frame. And if you are not in this trade, that is the trade we took here as at this morning, well, you might have an opportunity to join this decline if price comes back to do a retest of the $1,640 level, as we get ourselves prepared for another phase of a selling momentum here. In addition to this $1,640 structure we just identified here, is this bearish trend line that we shall be using as our yardstick going forward as well. So for the XAUUSD for the New York session today, we have two parameters that will be guiding our sell momentum. The first key parameter is the $1,640 level or the bearish trend line here. So we want to see price come back to either the $1,640 or the bearish trend line here. But the most important thing we want to be looking forward to is either a sharp rejection of this level, multiple rejection, selling pressure from this area, breakout, retest of structure, then we want to be joining the decline to the downside here. So this is how we intend to sell the XAUUSD. So for those who are in this trade, well done. Make sure you move your stop loss to break even or lock in some profit at this point, and let's see how price is going to unfold in the next 24 hours. Now, there is one thing I also want to share with you here that might likely happen considering the demand zone we have here. If at any point in time we see a significant breakout of this bearish trend line, I want us to see this as a bullish signal. And if that happens, remember, we are not getting too excited when we sight that breakout of structure. We want to be patient enough to wait for price action to come back, do a retest of that trend line, or probably come back into that demand zone we identified earlier at around the $1,645 level, after which we want to be looking out for patterns that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. So if a breakout of that level does not happen, we continue to hold on to our bearish bias as price action dictates. So that is that on the XAUUSD. I hope I made myself clear, but if you have any question, feel free to drop in your inquiries in the comment section and I will try as much as possible to shed more light on that. I hope Innocent Babe is in the house. All right. Dino, thank you very much. All right. Kisa, good morning. We have 73333. Good morning to you. You're welcome on board. All right. Did not sleep well. Okay, Innocent Baby, you're welcome. So in the absence of no question, I guess we move on to the next pair. And the next pair we are going to be looking at is the GBPUSD. And in fact, the GBPUSD is moving very well in our direction as at this morning, the last time I checked. Well, what do we have here on the GBPUSD? Remember, we took advantage of a bullish momentum on the GBPUSD at the beginning of the week, after which price came down and started seeing selling momentum here on the GBPUSD. So as at yesterday's live session, we were around where? We were around here as at live session yesterday. And one thing we observed during the live session was this reversal pattern in the form of a double top structure. So we saw this move to the upside, price came back into the very popular 1.1400 level for the sellers. Remember that 1.1400 level is a very strong selling niche for participants in this market. We identified that level on the daily time frame. We're still going to go back to the daily time frame where I'll be showing you how we saw that, but let's quickly replay what our expectations were as at yesterday. So we saw price come back here, and then we saw a lower high, where price action evolved into something that looks more like a double top structure. So we saw the high here, we saw the second high here, and that's a lower high. And then we expected that a breakdown of the neckline we identify at the 1.13500 area will be giving us a signal of a bearish momentum, and that's exactly what happened. And then we said, okay, fine, if price comes back to do a retest of this neckline, then we want to be joining the decline to the downside, and that's exactly what happened here. We saw multiple rejection of that neckline around the 1.13500 area, and since then price has been going to the downside from that level. So what we have here is more or less a bearish momentum at this point, as we can see how the 1.1400 level has been holding price action for the past 3 weeks. So let's quickly go back to the daily time frame for the sake of those who are not part of the session at the beginning of the week, so that they can have a view into what our expectations were and how did we get to making this informed decision of selling the GBPUSD. So let's dive into the daily time frame and let's see what is really happening here. So on the daily time frame, it is very obvious that price action has been on a very strong bearish momentum since the beginning of the year, and as a result of this, we were able to connect the series of lower highs here to give us that result and the bearish trend line that price has been guiding price action since the beginning of the year. But that is not the important structure that I want to be showing you on the daily time frame. The important structure I want to be showing you here is the 1.1400 level, somewhere around here. And the reason why this level is a very important level, I will be showing you in a moment. Look at what happened here in the month of September. I think close to like 3 weeks in the month of September, we saw how this level was holding buying pressure around this area. That is, every time price comes within that area, we saw buyers trying to push price to the upside, but they lost that momentum during the later part of the month of September, as we saw the significant breakdown of the 1.1400 level, which pushed price right into the 1.0400 area. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we cite a breakdown of a structure like this, what do we expect? We expect that price is likely going to come back to do a retest of that structure, and that is exactly what happened. As we saw price come back into that structure a couple of weeks ago, we saw multiple rejection, which pushed price right back into somewhere around the 1.0900 area, which I'll be shedding more light to on the 4 hours time frame. Just give me a moment on that. And then what happened again during this week? We saw our price came back again into the 1.1400 level, and since the beginning of the week, we have been witnessing multiple rejection of this area, emphasizing the strength of the sellers at this point in the market. So we can see around this 1.1400 level, sellers has been gathering around this area to push price to the downside. So what we want to be doing here is to be looking for selling momentum around this area. Let's see if we are going to be having structures or patterns that will be supporting a trend continuation from that area. So in that regard, we scale down to the 4 hours time frame, where we wanted to look out for where we want to be looking out for what is really happening here. So on the 4 hours time frame on the GBPUSD, this is what we noticed here. We saw this impulsive move to the downside, rejection of that 1.14 area. Remember, price came right into the neckline area of the 1.0900 area, which is the neckline. Hold on a second, let me show you what I'm talking about here. So we saw this breakdown here of the 1.14. Price evolved into a reversal pattern. Then we saw the breakout of the neckline of the reversal pattern here at 1.0900 level. Price came back into the 1.14. Price came back to retest that neckline area. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we cite a reversal pattern like this and a breakout of the neckline happens, we expect that price will come back and do a retest of the neckline, after which we might be seeing patterns that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. And that is what happened here. We saw multiple rejection and price climb up. But one thing we observe here is that even as the buyers are here to push price to the upside, we can see how strong the 1.14 level is for sellers here. As soon as price came within this level again, we started seeing selling pressure from that area. So what this simply tells us is that we want to be looking for selling momentum around this area. And now when we saw the scenario, the next thing we did here, and we saw at the beginning of the week, we saw our price has been rejecting this level. We want to scale down to a much lower time frame to really see what's really happening around here to help us make a decision on this one. So let's see if we are going to be having structures that will be supporting a sell momentum right below the 1.14 area. So in that regard, we'll scale down to the 1 hour time frame. And on the 1 hour time frame, what can we find here? On the 1 hour time frame, well, look at where price started this week. Price started this week at around this level. We saw a bullish gap at the beginning of the week. We saw a bullish gap giving us a sign that there is possible bullish momentum coming in. And after that, we saw price was caught within a consolidation phase right within the 1.125 and the 1.12 $1.12 level. So we saw a consolidation phase here, and then we saw the breakout retest of the structure. Remember, we took advantage of this bullish move on Monday. Price came to as far as the 1.4, which was rejected one more time, after which we started seeing another rejection here. So after taking advantage of this bullish move, we got stopped out after moving our stop loss to somewhere below the 1.135, and then we saw this double top structure here. So this double top structure with the 1.135 as our neckline, definitely a breakdown retest of that level should give us a confirmation to join the decline. So, and that is exactly what has happened here. And since yesterday, price has been trading right below the $1.13500 level. So if you are taking advantage of that, once again, I congratulate you for being on standby to take advantage of that bearish momentum. But if you had not taken advantage of that move, if you had missed it, well, let's see if the market is going to be giving us a second chance. Well, looking at the structure we have here, look at how the $1.125 level is located here. We can see we saw the breakout retest of the 1.125 level here, and we can see buying pressures here during the New York session yesterday. And right now we are witnessing multiple rejection of the 1.125 in the last couple of hours now. So what I'll be advising us to do here is to wait and see if we are going to be having a breakdown of the 1.125 level. If we have a breakdown of that structure, that is more or less a bearish signal for us, but we don't want to get too excited. We want to wait for confirmations to happen in the form of a retest of that structure, after which we look out for patterns on lower time frame that will be supporting a trend continuation to the downside. So if that happens, for those who are already in this trade, this is an opportunity to add more position to your existing trade. And for those who are not in this trade yet, well, a breakdown retest of the 1.125 is an area we want to be looking to sell the GBPUSD. So that is that on the GBPUSD. And in addition to this structure here at 1.125, we have a couple of parameters that will be guiding our action during the New York session today, and these parameters will make our job easier. So what we want to be doing right now, if you had joined here yesterday, well done. Let's see if price is going to break down to 1.125, and then we want a retest of structure will give us a confirmation to hard position. Now, the other parameter I was able to identify is this bearish trend line. Look at how price action has been respecting this bearish trend line since the beginning of the week. We had the first touch here, we had the second touch here, and we had a touch here as well. So we can see how that bearish trend line has been guiding price action. So if at any point in time we see a breakdown, price comes back into this bearish trend line and we start seeing multiple rejection of that level, that is a good sign that we want to be selling the GBPUSD. So we have two parameters to support a bearish continuation pattern, and that is the 1.12500 level and the bearish trend line at this point. So that is that on the GBPUSD. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. So let's move on to the next pair. I have 4 more minutes left and I have 3 pairs to go here: USDJPY, EURUSD, and the Dogecoin. So let's see how quickly I can run through this pair, and I just hope I can run through this pair during this time frame. So let's quickly look at what is happening here. So going to the USDJPY, let's see what's happening. We continue to have our bullish momentum running here on the USDJPY. Remember, we've been enjoying a bullish momentum on the USDJPY since last week. Remember, so we took this move here last week. it's a quite massive and interesting trade for us on the USDJPY. So we took this move here last week, remember, after breakout retest of this rejection level. So we took advantage of this move, and also we added position to this trade, had the breakout retest of the 147 Japanese yen level. Remember, we took advantage of this breakout retest here, and price continued to the upside again. And as at the beginning of this week, we identified a channel right within the 148.850 level and the 148.450 area. This is the channel here. So we identified this channel here between the 148.850 and the 148.450 area. And what we said at the beginning of the week was that if price breaks out of this channel to the upside and does a retest to structure, we want to be joining the rally to the upside, and that is exactly what happened. Though we were stopped out at one point in time, but price came back right above the 148.850 level, and we have continued to enjoy this move. Let's see how many pips we have gathered so far since the beginning of last week. So we took this move right from this area, and right now price is around here. That's around 400 pips. Then the second position was from this level, and that is running with about how many pips right now? Over 250 pips move. And then the third position is right here, which is running at the beginning of this week, which is running with about, let's see, that's like 75 pips moves. In fact, so we're very profitable on the USDJPY. And one thing I also observed during the early hours of today was that we had this 149 Japanese yen level, which we said, okay, fine, if price breaks out retest of that structure, we want to be adding more position to this trade. So I actually entered this trade around this area at the beginning of this week. Sorry, at the beginning of today's trading session, we saw the breakout retest of the $149.250 level, and price is continuing to go to the upside from this area. So I don't know if the market is going to give us a second chance for those who missed out on this one here as of this morning. But if you did not, if you did took advantage of that, kudos to you for being on standby to take advantage of that move. And as we head into the New York session, let's see if the market is going to do a little retracement back into a structure around here before we want to be adding one more trade. So we have a structure around the 149.450, which is light around this area. Don't miss this if you had missed the first one today. So don't miss this if price comes back into the structure. Remember, we had multiple rejection here. We had the breakout of that structure around here, and let's see if the market is going to do a retest of structure. So we have the 149.500. Let me label this for the sake of clarity. So we have the 149.500 area. So let's look forward to that area for buying pressure. So if price comes back at any point in time into this level, and then we start seeing buying pressure, we want to be adding more position to our existing trade on the USDJPY. So you can see how this move has been. So I told you I'm going to continue to extend my TP as price moves in our direction. And one thing we want to be doing is to be moving our stop loss accordingly as price action continues. So right now, if you have been enjoying this move since the beginning of last week, well, I'll be advising that you move your stop loss to somewhere around the $148.850 level, and let's see how price action is going to play out in the next couple of days on this one. Hello, hi Max, good morning to you. How are you doing today? Steamroller, okay, you're welcome. All right, all right, thank you for the compliment. Okay, who else in the house? I am now facing financial problems. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm lost for words there. I don't know what to say. All right. What a beautiful rainy. Okay. So let's quickly run through the Euro USD. And what do we have on the Euro USD? So on the Euro USD, we also have a selling momentum running. Let me share with you what our expectations were yesterday. Okay. So as of yesterday, we were able to identify a channel right within the 0.98700 area and the 0.98300 area. And as at the beginning of the week, someone called our attention to the Euro USD around this level, and we identified the 0.97500, which we took advantage of that bullish move as price came to as far as this level. Price came to as far as the 0.98800 area, which we took about over 100 pips on the Euro USD before we started seeing selling pressure right around the 0.98700 area. And with the selling pressure around that area, definitely we want to be looking forward to a reversal pattern, which will likely be a retracement of this impulsive move to the upside. So we saw this impulsive move and we are thinking, okay, fine. If we start seeing multiple rejection of the 0.987 area, let's see if this channel is going to evolve into a retracement back into our golden zone area, after which we are going to be looking out for patterns on lower time frame that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. And this is exactly what has been happening in the last 24 hours now. And we identify a buy zone here after running our Fibonacci retracement tool through the previous impulse leg here. And this is what we have. Okay, let me readjust this. So we have somewhere around here as our take profit target for our buy zone for any bullish momentum here. And if you look at where the buy zone is, it falls right above the 0.97500 area, which is an area that signaled a bullish momentum at the beginning of the week. So we saw this area, we saw a consolidation phase right within this level. We saw this situation, consolidation phase, then the breakout of that structure. So this is where price started this week at. So price started this week around this area, and since then price has been trading right above the 0.95700 level. So what we are saying now is that we are waiting for price to come within the buy zone area since yesterday to look out for reversal patterns that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. And I added another caveat to the setup here yesterday. I can remember I told you that if for those who love doing counter trend position, those who love doing those who scalp, I said if we cite a breakdown retest of the 0.98300 level, which actually happened during the early hours of today, we saw the breakdown, we saw the retest of that structure, you would have joined the decline to the downside. And I said you should be having your take profit target somewhere around the buy zone area. So if you are taking advantage of that counter trend, well, kudos to you. And you will be running with about 55 pips in profit. And remember what I told you about counter trend positions. Whenever you are taking a counter trend position, ensure you move your stop loss accordingly because you are trading against the trend. So right now price has moved within the buy zone area. So what we are going to be looking forward to right now is that are we going to be having a reversal pattern within the buy zone here in the form probably of a double bottom structure or inverse and shoulder pattern? If we have that, then a breakout retest on lower time frame will be confirming the trend continuation to the upside. And remember, our take profit target for a bullish trend continuation pattern still falls around the 0.99300 level on the EURUSD. However, if at any point in time during the New York session today we cite a breakdown of the 0.97500 area, that is price breaks down this area where it started the week at, then we want to be seeing this as a bearish signal. And if that happens, we don't want to get too excited. We want to remain patient and wait for price to give us a confirmation in the form of a retest of structure, after which we look out for selling pressures on lower time frame. Then we could join the decline, and then our take profit should be somewhere around the demand zone here, which we identified on the daily time frame. So remember, we have a demand zone around this area, so we look forward to that area for the take profit target if price breaks below the 0.97500 area. So for those who are taking advantage of the sell momentum, that is the counter trend opportunity here yesterday, well, if a breakdown retest of the 0.97500 happens, you want to be adding more position to your existing trade. So that is that on the EURUSD. Then we went on to close yesterday with the Dogecoin. And with the Dogecoin, let me see. Dogecoin, okay, DOGEUSD. So on the DOGEUSD, we still have a situation where selling pressure still remains right around the 0.0600 area. That is, you can see what we have here. We still have a very strong selling pressure around here. And I told you yesterday that I was able to identify a structure around the 0.0595, which is this green line here. And I said if price breaks above, you want to be joining the rally to the upside, and immediately price breaks above that structure, I told you to move your stop loss to protect your position as price continue. And we had an engulfing candle that took price to as far as the 0.611 area. I don't know if anyone took advantage of that move, and well, but it didn't last long as price came right back into our entry zone. But at this point in time, with what we have right now, we can see that the bullish trend line we identified yesterday appears to have been broken. So we saw the first breakdown yesterday during the New York session, and then during the early hours of today we saw another breakdown of that structure. So what this simply tells us is that I think the sellers are very, very strong at this point. We can see we saw can you see lower highs here? We have a lower high here, and in the last since the beginning of the week we saw another lower high here. So it gives us a clue that sellers are still very strong. So one thing I said yesterday was that if we have a breakdown of that bullish trend line, a retest to structure should give us a confirmation to join the decline, with a take profit target sitting right around the demand zone we identified on the daily time frame. I'm so sorry, I'm very fast here. I'm just trying to make sure that I cover all these pairs before I call it a day. So that is that on the Dogecoin. So let's see how price action plays out. Above the 0.600 level still holds an opportunity to buy as long as price is right above that level. But if a significant breakdown of the structure happens, that is the trend line, then the retest of that level should give us a confirmation to join the decline. So let me run through what we have done so far before I call it a day. A quick summary for those who are not part of this session at the beginning of the session. So let's quickly run through. So we have on the US oil, we had two scenarios that we are looking forward to on the US oil. We had a bearish signal yesterday. Remember, I showed you how price has been consolidating within a channel, and then we saw the signal in the form of a breakdown of that structure. And whenever we have a breakdown of structure, we expect that price will come back and do a retest of structure, after which we're looking out for patterns on lower time frame that will be supporting a trend continuation to the downside. So to make our job easier for the sell opportunity, we have identified a sell window right around the $85 level. So we want to see how price action is going to relate to that area. So if we have a reversal pattern there, we want to be joining the decline to the downside on that one. However, there is something interesting I shared with you here. As we can see, our price has retested the bearish trend line that was broken during I think 2 weeks ago. We saw the breakout of this trend line. Let me show you on the daily time frame quickly. So we saw the breakout. So we have this bearish trend line that has been holding price action in the last 5 months now, and then we saw the breakout of that trend line here. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, we saw the breakout of that trend line. And from a technical standpoint, we expect that price will come back and do a retest of structure, after which we look out for patterns that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. And that's exactly what has happened in the last 24 hours. We saw the breakout, we saw the retest of structure here. And one thing we said is that let's see how participants will be relating to the structure, and let's see if this is going to lead to a bullish momentum. That is the second wave of the bullish momentum that started a couple of weeks ago. So when we scale down to the 1 hour time frame, we saw the retest of that structure here. So that's the retest of the structure we've identified here. And then the next thing we observe is that price found a higher low. And whenever we find a higher low like this, we're beginning to tend towards a bullish momentum. And as you can see, the structure we have here appears to be evolving into a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. And this double bottom structure cannot be confirmed unless we see a breakout of the neckline. So in that regard, we have a neckline identified at the $84 level. So if we have a breakout of that structure, we are not getting too excited. We want to wait for price to give us further confirmation in the form of a retest of this area. So it's looking ambiguous, right? Well, it's quite simple. So what this is simply saying is that if price breaks out of the structure and goes into the sell window, we get ready to sell the US oil within this sell window around here, with a take profit target somewhere around the bearish trend line here. But if price, as we sell the US oil right above the right below the $85 area, that's after the reversal pattern is formed, as we sell right below that area, if price continue to the downside and price touches the $84 level, as soon as price touches the $84 level, we want to move our stop loss to break even on our sell position or lock in some profit. Now, if that happens and we start seeing multiple rejection, that is buying pressure from the $84 level, a breakout retest on lower time frame will confirm a trend continuation to the upside, which will take us out of our previous sell position. However, if at any point in time price breaks down the $84 level here, this will confirm our sell position to be valid. Then a retest of structure should welcome us to add more position to our existing trade on the US oil. So that is how we want to trade the US oil as we head into the New York session. Then we went on to talk about the US tech, where we expecting a trend continuation to the upside. And since yesterday, we have continued to see selling pressures right around the $11,300 level, which also have a channel. So we saw a consolidation within the $11,300 and $11,200 level. So what I said here is that we remain patient. We want to wait for price action to come in the golden zone area here, after which we look out for patterns on lower time frame that will be supporting a trend continuation to the upside. And how did we find this golden zone? The golden zone is as a result of this previous impulse leg here. This is where price started the week. We run the impulse leg. Remember, we took this take profit at the beginning of the week here. We on the US tech, we are currently in about 540 pips in profit here, and then we run the retracement tool. Then we have the golden zone around this area. So we are looking forward to a retracement of this impulse leg. So we want to see how this retracement is going to end. Let's hope it's end around here. We look out for patterns there to join the rally to the upside. And if price does not go that far, a breakout of the $11,300 level will probably incite a trend continuation to the upside. But if a breakout happens, remember, we are not getting too excited. We want to remain patient and wait for price to give us a confirmation before we want to be joining the rally to the upside. So that is how we want to be trading the US tech for this week, for today rather. And I said something here. I said, for those who love doing counter trend trade on your lower time frame, or you love scalping, well, a breakdown retest of the $11,200 with selling pressures around this area should give us an opportunity to scalp this to this area. But if you are not a scalper, you're not comfortable taking counter trend trades, well, I would advise you to remain patient for that bullish pattern to form before we join the rally to the upside. Then we went on to talk about the XAUUSD, where we have taken advantage of a bearish momentum after citing the breakdown of the $1,645 level, which we identified at the beginning of the week. We saw the breakdown retest of the structure, and we took advantage of that move to the downside here. And currently, prices run, we are in profit of over 200 pips in profit at this point in time. And the next thing I told you was to move your stop loss to break even or lock in some profit so that we don't get caught up in any sudden pullback that would happen here. And I also shared with you that for those who missed out on this move at this morning, well, let's see if the market is going to give us a second chance to join this decline. And as a result of that, we were able to identify this $1,640 level. Which we can see this level as old buying pressure in the past. We saw multiple rejection by buyers here at the beginning of this session today. Let's see if price is going to come back, do a retest of the structure, after which we look out for selling pressure to join the decline to the downside. So in addition to the $1,640 level, we have this bearish trend line, which also will be guiding our action during the New York session today. So we want to see price respect both the $1,640 level and the bearish trend line to join the decline. Now we went on to talk about the GBPUSD, where we are already enjoying the bearish momentum here after identifying a reversal pattern in the form of a double top structure as at yesterday's live session. Then we said a breakdown of the neckline at the 1.1350. Retest of that structure will give us a confirmation to join the decline, and lo and behold, we finally joined us and we're already profitable at this point in the market. Now, for those who missed out on this opportunity, I said, let's see if the market is going to give us a second chance. And to find a second chance here, we've identified a structure at around the 1.12500 level and also this bearish trend line. So what we are saying is that if we see a significant breakdown of the structure, so we already saw a breakdown of that structure right now. So let's wait for this candle to close and we see a retest of the structure, that is the 1.12500 level or the bearish trend line here. Then we look out for selling pressure to join the decline to the downside on this one. So that is how we intend to trade the GBPUSD. So kudos to those who are still in this trade. Well done, as we are already in how many pips in profit? This is the second position, 80 pips in profit. My first position is running with about 70 pips in profit at this point. So well done, guys. Now we moved on to the USDJPY. And on the USDJPY, I told you how much we have been enjoying this bullish momentum since the beginning of last week. And in fact, it's quite interesting how we've amassed over 400 pips in one position. And if we had all the multiple entries we took advantage of here, we had one here, one here, one here at the breakout of the structure, and I took one here this morning. We have four positions running on the USDJPY at this point. Is if not over 1,000, it's close to 1,000 pips right now that we have made on the USDJPY. So let's see. As of this morning, we had another advantage to take advantage of another structure, as we saw the breakout of the structure around here. So congratulations for those who took advantage of the breakout of the structure. Well, let's see if the market is going to give us a second chance, and that is likely going to be in the form of the retest of the 149.500 area. If that happens, followed by buying pressures here, then we want to be joining the rally to the upside on this one too. I told you I will continue to extend my TP. So right now TP is around the $150.500 level. As soon as price gets into the $150 level, I want to be extending my TP to 151. I want to gather maximize my profit here. And the reason why we are maximizing our profit on the USDJPY is simply because of this sudden breakout of a very huge consolidation phase that lasted over a month. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a long consolidation phase like this, and we cite a breakout of that consolidation phase, the move is usually massive. And that is why I will continue to extend my TP on the USDJPY as price action continues to the upside on this one. So for those who are in this trade since Monday, since the beginning of last week, move your stop loss to somewhere around 148.500 area or 148.800 area. We want to give room for retracement moves, consolidation moves to happen so that we don't get caught out, get stopped out unnecessarily. So that is that on the USDJPY. Then we went on to talk about the EURUSD, where we took advantage of this counter trend opportunity. Remember, we took advantage of this bullish move at the beginning of the week as price climbed up into the 0.98700, and the multiple rejection of this area gave us a clue that we might be having a reversal pattern that will be leading into a retracement phase. And as a result of that, we identified a buy zone after looking at the retracement zone of 50 and 78.6 area. So we have a buy zone right here, which is right above the 0.97 500 area. That is right above where price started this week. So let's see if we are going to be having a reversal pattern around this area to send price to the upside. Our TP target still remain around the 0.99300 level area. So let's see how that works. And for those who took advantage of this counter trend opportunity right below the 0.98300, move your stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit, or move your stop loss to break even. Now, I also put a caveat to this. If at any point in time we cite a breakdown of the 0.97500 level, well, we want to be seeing this as a bearish signal, then we wait for price to give us a confirmation in the form of a retest structure with selling pressures on lower time frame around the 0.97500 area. Then we could join the decline to the downside. So this is what we are looking forward to on the EURUSD. So I hope we get ourselves prepared to take advantage of this move. So thank you very much. I think we'll just have to call it a day here. 20 minutes out of time, and let's see how price action is going to play out in the next 24 hours. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m. West African time, 10 a.m. UTC, and let's see how well these pairs are doing so far. And if there are any advices I will be giving you, let's stay tuned in to be part of the session. My advice, as usual, please do not get too excited at the sight of a signal. When we have an engulfing candle taking us out of a structure, remember, this is just a signal. It could turn out to be a false one. We want to wait for confirmations to happen, which is likely going to come in the form of a retest of structure before we join the potential rally or the potential decline. However, if price does not give us a retest of structure, please and please pass the trade. There are tons of opportunity in the financial market we could take advantage of. So we look forward to another opportunity if market does not give us a confirmation in the form of a retest of structure. Thank you very much for being around. I really appreciate. I wish you best of luck during the New York session today. And on this note, bye bye.